Hi, my name is Sally Barnard, an artist, author, and spiritual experiencer. Welcome to Call Me Zena, a true story into the spiritual realms. Join me as I sit and discuss the journey of self-discovery and awakening with the help of my spirit guides. It's time to trust your intuition. This is your inner knowings. Through questions and points of conversation, I can help others feel empowered. With the ability to touch people's past lives, I help others connect and not feel alone. Sit with me and call in live, 888-994-4995. Hi, welcome to the show again. Every Monday at 3 o'clock, I'm so happy that you tuned in. The lines are open now, 888-994-4995, Studio A. Any questions that you may want to ask me, I'm right here now. But before I start my program, I just want to say I'm really sorry. My heart goes out to all the people that were devastated by the hurricane. I'm in South Florida on the east side, so we were kind of lucky, but I'm so sorry. My hearts and prayers go out to everybody. We are with you, and we're here to do anything that we can. Now, I'm going to open the show, hopefully, with some sort of a question from somebody here. I love my questions. My collective is here, and we're ready to answer anything. Okay, we're just a few seconds away from our first question.
Sally, I want to ask a generalized question as to all the devastation that's happened in Florida and Puerto Rico. Were there any warning spiritual issued that people just weren't paying attention to? Is that a fair question to ask?
Yes, it is. Unfortunately, you know, we say it's an act of, I don't want to say God, it's an act that we're not, as long as I've been here many, many years in Florida, and we kind of take things for granted. We think that we're not going to be hit by something. They didn't have too much time this time, unfortunately. I've gone through a couple of hurricanes. I have left. I've stayed here. It's a tragedy. Can I tell you why and how that happened? I really don't know. I believe that we're going through, and I don't take this lightly at all, but we're going through some sort of correction here on Earth. That's the only possible answer that I can tell you. Do we need to have tragedy when we do this? Unfortunately, maybe we do, but I hope not.
So you believe that if people were spiritually more in tune, these messages will come in loud and clear, or is this something that has to take the essence of doing?
It's difficult to answer. I'm sure I personally did not have any idea of what was going to happen, but maybe there are people. I have had things that have happened that I see, premonitions. I did not see this. I didn't see it. But I'm sure, you know, when this kind of dies down a little bit, that we'll hear people say that they had some sort of warning. But it was really quick to get that out. You know, it happened so fast. And we've been very lucky up until this last week with hurricanes coming this way. But
it makes you feel like, you know, why them, not why me? Or like, you ever seen somebody in a bus accident and everybody dies except one person, or plane?
Well, yes, of course. And you kind of, there's such a thing as, you know, when they have guilt that they didn't pass. But I believe, my belief is that we choose what's happening to us. And some of these horrific things, we would say, why would we choose such a horrific thing to happen to so many people? I don't have all the answers, and I really don't know. I just believe that we are going through some sort of correction. Of course, I realize with my belief, and not everybody believes this, that we go on, we live, we do not pass. It's just a transition. Maybe somebody listening may help them by saying that. This is what I feel. Is there anything we can do now? Yes, there is many things that we can do now. We're sitting here. My power, I was just saying this, my power went out for a minute before I came to the studio here. And the first thing that happened, I said, how am I going to dry my hair? Which is ridiculous. I have such gratitude that we were not hit by the hurricane. We were only from a tornado 2 miles away, but it didn't happen. Do I know why that happened there and not my house? I don't know.
You said the word corrections. So we go through different forms of corrections. Whatever the amount of time is this a normal thing? Has corrections, because you used it, have we been through corrections before?
Many, yes. But again, there is no time on that. It could be a couple of years, it could be 200 years, I don't know. But Earth, it's hard to say, but it's a living entity, not the way that we know living entities. There's so much disruption here right now. Earth is hurting. How can I explain how Earth is hurting? No, but Earth shows itself by hurting. And this is coming to me very strongly. Hurricanes, earthquakes, all these, if you go back in history, you see these happening. I think, and I don't know if I'm correct, but it's Earth trying to tell us to wake up to something more, Mother Earth. Just to be more gentle, to be all these wars, the nuclear, we hear this all the time. I truly believe that we need to take note of all this because we're being told, I had no idea that I was going to talk about this, but I feel that we're being told in many different ways, wake up, wake up. We're so vulnerable to so many things here.
Is it fair to say that one individual, two individuals, can actually change the course of history? Because I mean, what kind of spirituality or lack thereof do they have? Look at the situation in Europe. You're right, nuclear. Words that are being thrown around that were never used before.
Right.
Have people changed to such a degree?
People are, I'm going to say, desperate in many different ways. I mean, if you think about war, because we're born in a certain place, we own that place where somebody else wants to take over where we own. This is ridiculous. We're all one. It's a dominoes effect. If people could start understanding that, be kind to each other, we'd have a much more, well, quote, normal life. But if you go back in centuries, there's always been wars going on. We need to wake up. Am I going to make a difference by talking about this? Probably not, but maybe one or two people might say, what in the world are we doing? But we need to talk more about it. We need to be kinder, gentler to each other.
So how do we overcome fears that just stop you from everyday life?
Well, you know, my philosophy is by being positive, by being kind and loving to one another. That's, I'm not going to say unrealistic, it's there, but not everybody, including myself, goes around saying, I love you, but it holds a very higher vibrational energy when we say that. It's important to start with, somewhere, with love. Even if it's just your family, get along with your family. Do the right thing. We don't know what right is, but if we love one another, it will help raise vibrational energy.
You have a couple questions that people are writing in. Steve says, both my mother and father passed without me ever having a chance to say goodbye. Do you think they know how much I love them?
Absolutely, because I feel that they don't leave us just because they transition and go somewhere else. They're around us. They know what's going on. Communicate. You can still communicate and tell your loved ones that you love them, even if you don't know, they're not answering you. I believe truly that they do hear us, but it's the same as here. Not everybody has, it's like an instrument. I can hear, but this came to me maybe 10, 12, well, about 15 years ago. Not even on the other side. It's hard sometimes, from what I understand, for them to communicate, but they can hear you. They are here. They are with us. They're here with us now. So yes, they know that you love them, even though you weren't able to say goodbye. Thank you for the question, Steve.
When your daughter passed, how did you cope
with
that loss of a child?
It was hard. She only passed now, I guess we're getting on to nearly 3 months in July. But I feel that she's with me right now from what I feel. We had not communicated prior to her getting sick, which was 6 months before she passed. I flew immediately to where she was. I listened to her, we talked. We had a form of closure. In my heart, as much as I wanted to keep her here as long as I could, I knew that she was passing. And I tried to make that time very valuable. I took pictures of her. Although she'd had chemo, she'd lost her hair. I wanted those pictures. I told her how much I loved her. My only regret is that I had not done that for the past few years while she was well. I can't change that. I changed the last 6 months of her life. I believe that she's transitioned. I believe I feel her with me now. I feel her presence. So anyone that is not communicating maybe with a loved one, a family member, I can't tell you to make up right now, but I can only tell you what my regret was. However, I did I use the word correction. I corrected that with her over the last 6 months. She knows that power of love doesn't die or pass when they leave. It transitions, it goes to a different energy of love.
Do you feel she speaks to you now?
I do. From what I understood before, is that we have like a resting period, so I did not want to bother her. It sounds silly, I know, but I said let her rest. But however, I do feel her presence. I feel that she's all around me, giving me the love that I so craved for when she was around here. But we have it now. That never dies. I feel that we transition, but we come back. I feel that we come back with our loved ones.
You have a phone call also.
Oh, okay. Hello.
I believe you have Jennifer on the line.
Are you there,
Hi,
Jennifer?
Sally.
Hi, Jennifer. Nice to hear from you. In your question.
Oh, thank you. Hi. So, while we were in the studio about an hour ago, Dawn, when she had mentioned soulmates, it kind of got me thinking, and
Okay.
I would love your thoughts on my soulmate. I guess I've been single now for about 2 years, and it's probably because I built up walls over the last relationship, and I'm wondering if I am closing myself off to meeting someone special because of that.
Okay, since I met you and I can still feel your vibrational energy, I think you're completely right by saying that. Don't let past relationships affect a new one that could be coming into your life. I probably was guilty of that myself until I understood more, and I was single many, many years. I just got engaged. Did I think that was going to happen? No, but I did find someone who I love very much at my age in life. Try to let everything go, and you will find, if this is what you want, I didn't even know that I wanted this, but it happened, and I do, and I'm happy. Just let everything that in your past relationships not affect your new relationship of finding someone. I feel that you will have someone coming into your life. I feel that you need to please let everything go, and everything will be okay. Does that help you a little bit?
I love the advice, and I think, it's hard to let some things go or not be a little guarded when meeting someone else.
Well,
I
don't
guess when you
take your
get
guard
burned,
down.
sometimes it's
I
harder.
believe that you shouldn't let your guard down, but if you feel, is it instantaneously that you find someone and you fall in love? I don't know, maybe it does happen, it probably does, but if you've got your guard up, you're not going to be able to pursue a relationship. Please just let your guard down enough that someone else can come into your life. If you feel it's the wrong person, because you are going to feel that if you listen to your gut, then it's not the right person,
Yeah.
but you're also missing out on the right person that's going to come into your life. I hope that helps you, Jennifer. Thank you.
It does, Sally, very much so.
Thank you. It was a pleasure to meet you. I just want to tell you that on the air, okay? Thank you.
Yes, thank you. It was a pleasure to meet you. We will be speaking again in the near future. Thank you so
Definitely.
much.
Thank you.
You have
Bye-bye.
another question. that was
Have a
written-
wonderful.
Thank you.
Why do you believe that churches or religion care so much about personal relationships?
Why do I believe that churches and religions care so much? I truly don't know. I'm a very spiritual person. I go with my feelings. As far as religion, I really don't know the answer to that. Because they want to see us happy, and they want to if someone is married, the only answer that I can give to that, they don't want to see a marriage ending, so they may come into your life, they can give you advice, because it's sad, especially when there's children. So they believe that once you're married, try to make a go of that. But truthfully, I think it's a little unrealistic in certain cases. That's just my personal point of view.
And the second part of the question is there a book or movie that you would recommend for people to learn more about spirituality?
Well, there are many books out there, actually. I'm in the process of writing my second book, which is going to do a lot of these topics will come up, hopefully, with my life and how I gradually got into this journey. So I would recommend people just go maybe somewhere and have a look up spirituality advice. You'll find it. There's many on the internet. To mention anyone in particular, my favorite author actually was Wayne Dyer, who did pass. He had some amazing advice. He wrote many, many books. He himself had suffered a lot of problems in the early part of his life, but he made a big impact on this world. So I recommend Wayne Dyer off the top of my head right now.
And do you see past lives?
I do, yes.
Other people's?
I can, yes, I have.
So do you see one of my past lives?
I do, Dawn, yes. I do believe that we are actually in a lifetime together. I don't believe in coincidence. And I know that I found myself here for many other reasons than just with the show. This is my main reason for coming, but having met everybody here, I find a tremendous connection. Yes, I believe that you and Freddie were in a past life with me. Your turn,
Tell
Freddie.
me of my past life.
Well, you want me to air it?
That doesn't
No,
bother me.
I believe that actually, not going back to the one that you and I were in, Dawn, that's it's a few centuries back, but with the one that was recent, and this is just a feeling that I get, I believe that you, Dawn, myself, and also Steve was in a past life with me, which goes back to the last life. It's not going back a long way. I just feel it. Certain things come up, certain actions that I have in this life. I never knew this until actually I met Steve, but I feel that we were definitely connected, and I believe it's something to do with entertainment.
And what did you learn of that past life?
Of the one that not of the prior one, which was a very important one. This last life, not to make light of it, I believe that we were entertainers. I came into this world wanting to be an actress. It never left me. I also came into this world knowing that I had to be in America. I mean, from an early age, I used to think New York, all the places where I felt that I had been. And here I am, so much so when I was even in boarding school, if there was an American girl in the school, I had to be friendly with her to find out more about the States. So I feel that we feel certain things, especially if it's a lifetime prior to this one, not going back too many years.
So you've learned that perhaps what you wanted, everything you've always wanted is coming around this time for you.
Of this particular one, yes. Of the one very close to this lifetime, yes. And this is very new feeling to me. I never knew that. I knew that I wanted to be on the stage, which is something I didn't do, because I listened to a lot of people who told me not to do that. I believe that we should follow our gut. I believe that our past lives have messages for us. We've been here many times. We don't need all the lifetimes to learn. But the significant ones that can help this particular life, I believe that we touch on them. We get the messages. We don't listen. There are many people that don't believe this. I do. I believe very strongly in past lives because I was drawing from lifetimes, and I've not seen these things before in this life.
So let me ask you this. If you are surrounded by family, friends, people who tell you to go in the opposite direction, like a lot of creators, entertainers, painters, singers. I mean, these careers sometimes take years to blossom. And there's always the negative of, don't do that, do this, get yourself a job, get married, to substitute your desire to do these things. How do we address the naysayers?
Well, my parents were pretty open-minded about this. I wasn't. I really didn't understand too much. But I also listened to at that time, my parents. I wanted to pursue what I felt was my choice to go into acting, to be on the stage. But Well, it wasn't so much my parents. They would have encouraged that, although they got divorced. But my ex-husband didn't encourage it. I actually was trained by the Royal Academy of Dramatic Art. I so wanted to follow this. I was married at 19. I did not do it. My regret was that I didn't follow that path. However, I didn't listen. If you feel drawn to something, do it. Don't listen to people when they say, don't do this. Go with your gut. It's very easy, obviously, to listen to family and friends, but they're not you. You go with what you feel. And I truly believe with all my being that if you believe in yourself, which is really important, there is nothing that we can't achieve that we want. I mean, I'm not a smart child to say, yeah, I want that and that and that. But if it's really, really important to you, please follow, quote, what they say, your dream. It's important.
So you should follow what you believe.
Absolutely, 100%.
And it doesn't matter who's coming at you telling you not to.
Absolutely. No,
what if
because
it's your
they're not you.
parents? What if it's your significant other?
But they're not you. And you're not going to, you know, I'm going to say you're not going to get rid of that dream, even if you don't follow it. Up until now, I feel very at home sitting in front of a camera right now. I've never done this. It's only over the last, I love everybody here, but I feel very at home. I feel like I've done this before in a lifetime. I never had the opportunity. I've been on the radio, but I wasn't in front of a camera. I like this. It's not necessarily for the notoriety. It's something within me. I want to pass my message on. So maybe I was meant to keep it until now. I don't know. But I'm free to do what I want. And I will do this because I love doing it.
And if you live in guilt, Sally, people that live in guilt,
Yes.
they don't accomplish what they want because they live in guilt, and they're guilty because they're listening to other people tell them not to do this. How do you encourage somebody out of guilt?
Guilt is, I suffered very much from guilt. I know. I didn't want to upset this one. I didn't want to upset that. And if I went ahead and to do something that I knew they didn't want me to do, the guilt came back. Please try not to get rid of the guilt. Again, we are all individuals. I know we say we're all one, and I'm understanding that too, but we all have an individual journey. Stick with what you believe. If you truly believe it, yes, things may not happen right away, but it's the best shot we have at doing what we want to do. It really is. Negativity, try to get away from that. Try to get away from guilt, because that's a very big downer. It's a negative. Try to put positivity into your life. I had one heck of a life with a lot of negativity in it. And yet, as I'm getting older, I'm dispersing all that. Where it didn't get me where I wanted to, I feel now that I'm just starting my journey at my age, because I'm positive as best I can.
They write in, how do you believe in something that you cannot see?
Faith. It's not easy, but believe it. You will get validation, which I had along the way. I wasn't always this positive. I got validation, which I put down as coincidence. And you know that. I always say there is no coincidences. Did I always feel that? No. But I used to say this is unexplainable. How does this happen? If you follow to, when you see something and you say to yourself, how could that be? It is so. There is so much more. I know that I can't tell everybody to believe the way that I'm believing, but and I understand that completely. But however, just listen to yourself. If something happens, if you try to explain it and it's pretty well unexplainable in your mind, think about it, because it's a message that we're getting, I truly believe, from someone else, our guides, from what I call the other side of the veil. They don't leave us. And also our gut. I feel that we have a higher self that's with us, but is also there. So that higher self will talk to you. Don't even have to believe it. Just know that I'm saying this, and you'll feel that your life will gradually change. Okay, that's how I feel about this.
When you believe in your higher self.
Yes, there is something that's guiding us. And I'm not taking God out of the scenario, because there is a higher being, but we also are there. So if you want to say, there's many ways to explain that we're in contact with God on the other side. However your belief system is, it's okay. Just believe that there's more. This is really important. It will help you. even if you don't understand it, it will help you if you believe that.
How do you know when you have your spiritual awakening, when you're beginning that?
Because life begins to change. Life is not the way that we see it. Many things, we want something. Again, it's not like a spoiled child saying, I want this, I want this. But if you want something, believe that you can get it. And when you see that materializing, it makes you think, well, and you will be surprised, as I was, how in the world is this happening? However, today, because I've made a point of understanding that, I've listened to many teachers, I had my own personal guide here, and I was able to, I think of something, and then maybe it could be a day, it could be a month, it could even be a year. It's materializing. I don't lose that belief. It will happen. It will. It will. It's hard to understand, I know that.
Do you think God has a bigger message or purpose than we realize for each of us?
Yes, because there's a collective too. And that collective, again, it's hard to describe God, and I don't even want to, I can't. But there is a higher being. There are higher beings too, that when we, it's like having a conversation. And I feel, especially, I believe that there are many different planets too that have a higher vibrational energy that are helping us. So when we get together and have a discussion, even with us sitting here, you begin to see a little bit more. The main thing is to talk about it, to discuss it, to believe it. And then suddenly you'll see so much will open up. I feel with you guys, I'm just sitting here, I feel it.
Do you feel your past life, and I know we've talked about one of your past lives, and you were a great influencer in this past life, that for you coming back now, there's a reason that perhaps some of those lessons you can bring forward?
Absolutely, and I'm getting goosebumps because for people that don't know what happened to me, I had a very, which I call prominent past life. We don't bring all our past lives in, but I actually had somebody from that life who was in my life for 18 years who came in understanding all this. But before I even understood where he was coming from, I was sketching. I was sketching, just to let people know, I was sketching many things from that lifetime, which I had never seen and was completely unaware that I was in that life. But to me, it made me sit up and say, because he's explaining to me after a while what I was drawing and sketching, having never done anything like this. How am I able to do that? I haven't seen that. I haven't even read it. It was in history. My life was in a history book. But I hadn't never seen that. I wasn't even interested in history. But I'm drawing. I'm drawing from that particular lifetime. It was to wake me up for my journey. I didn't see it right away, but suddenly I'm sketching and I'm drawing and some of the things. How does this happen? How does it happen?
But were these things meant for you? Because now you have the gift of sharing this with others. So which is it?
Perfect question. It's both. It's for me to understand, because if I didn't understand it or understand what was happening, I couldn't spread this word. I'm here to help people too. Again, I'm going to say, and it's an expression that I'm using, I cannot help everybody, of course not. But if I can help somebody that's going through something that they're saying to themselves, there's more to this, call me, call into my show. Maybe I can help them along this, because it's a pretty lonely world to be on your own just understanding this. You need to get out and talk about it, because I believe in vibrational energy, and that energy will attract other people that are going through a very similar thing. It works that way. It's called the law of attraction. When I first heard that, I did not understand it. Today, I understand it the best that I can.
Do you think we're on the right track here in the theater and the production house?
Absolutely, 100%. There is no coincidences as far as I'm concerned. How have I shown up here, Dawn? How do I feel so comfortable? How am I getting goosebumps right now? Yes, you guys are. I also have said that I was meant to be here 2 years ago. Maybe you weren't ready, maybe I wasn't ready, maybe the people that are coming here weren't ready. But now I truly believe that this was the time.
How do we stay away from people who just don't have the right message and they come here? How is it? Because you don't want to say no to anybody, but how do you pick those that come and aren't quite what they appear to be?
Well, you pick up on that energy. If you're in tune with it, if you're aware that you can pick up on this, Yes, you can pick up with it. And as far as I'm concerned, I don't like to hurt people knowingly or say, I don't want you in my life. But honestly, you're not doing yourself a favor if you don't do that. If you feel negativity, and Aldo was a very good example of this. He could feel people coming to him. We worked together for many years, and he said, stay away from that person. And I would say, but you're so negative, and yet you're so positive. Why? Because it's really important for you. It's also important for that person too, because if you can show them what they're doing is a little negative by walking away, walk away. You don't have to necessarily be rude, but you don't really want to bring that into your life, Freddie. It's not easy, and it can hurt people, but ultimately I think it's the best thing to do.
Is it fair to say that sometimes you have to practice how to be, I'm not going to say negative, but a realist, because you want to protect yourself from people who come and say they're positive when we're really not?
Yes, it's very important to protect yourself. It took me a while to understand that, especially I was in sales for many years, and I was coming in contact with a lot of different entities of people, but I could feel, but I also attracted some of the right people too, so it works both ways. So you've just got to be aware of your feelings, because as I say, it attracts the negative and the positive people, because you're open, and that brings in a lot of different people.
Now, Sally, you know that we have a lot of producers in here. They're all from college. They're very young. And sometimes they will take it for granted because they just don't have the experience, and people will lead them down the wrong way, make promises, things of that nature. And they are from a different era. It isn't our era. How do you explain what you're saying to them so they get it? Not so much, it's easy to say the words, I get that. But how do we show them that maybe there is truth to what you're saying right now?
Okay, we can pass this message on by example. I'm hearing that very loud and strong, how we conduct our own lives. And obviously, you have some young people here, and I get that too, but they are looking up to you because you guys have had experience. So the best way to handle this is to tell people, anybody, it doesn't have to be in here, that however you want to present it, but present what you're feeling that you want to tell them. If it's negative, let them know, but tell them there's a way to just listen to the person that's talking to them. Maybe they're not giving them the right advice, and they can turn around and have a right to say, well, how do you know that? You don't know for sure. Nobody knows for sure. But if you go with your gut towards that person, they also should follow their gut. If they feel something isn't right, usually it's not right. If they feel it's right, then they're on the right path. But we're not always in tune with that.
So they should listen to the voice in their heads.
I believe so. But then again, you know, sometimes that voice in our head, because our mind is there, tells us, even if it's right, no, you don't want to do that.
You compete against yourself.
You do. It's like half a dozen of one and six of the other. But ultimately, if you believe this, the best will turn up. I really do believe
The
that.
difference is that you and I and Dawn, we understand the differences, and we let it play out until we can make the right choice. But nowadays, millennials, these younger kids, they're reactive. They're not proactive. And when you're reactive, sometimes you end up making a lot of mistakes because you're listening to one thing and you're going in that direction without watching it fan out. So how do I, because I'm a firm believer of doing exactly what you just said, but I don't know if it's reaching the message, it's reaching where it needs to be.
Well, we need to give it thought. I was a very impulsive person for many, many years. It's not always a good thing because our mind is what's telling us to do. So my advice to you, if you know, the way you handle it, the way you best, is to first of all, step back from a situation. Step back, think about that situation. Discuss it, maybe come to you or Dawn or somebody appear, someone older than them, not even necessarily older than them, but to talk it over, to get another point of view. Be open to a lot of different options. If you do that, you stand a good chance of getting through to somebody, if that makes sense. Absolutely. Okay, we're actually going to be stopping for a commercial in a few minutes. Please tune in to the second half of this program, and please call in 888-994-4995, Studio A. I'm here right now to answer your questions. Thank you.
Bright, bold, beautiful. Audrey Omar creates artwork pieces that make a statement in any room. Using ethically sourced material, these handmade artworks are made in collaboration with divine higher power. This unique method gives vision, passion, and energy to every piece. Find Audrey Omar's work at the Brooklyn Cafe Studios or audreynow.com. Audrey Omar, art that opens the heart.
End of the Second World War, she came to the U.S. in 1979. A mother of two and grandmother of four, she settled in Florida and worked in real estate. While going through a difficult time in her life, she was admitted into a hospital overnight in December of 2005. While settling back into her life, she began having vivid dreams and documenting them. By the third dream, a lady gave her a message to draw. With no artistic background or interest in art or history, Sally listened to her dreams and grabbed paper and crayons. Today, she has over 150 pieces of inspiring art and poetry. This book follows her journey and interpretations of these messages. She describes in detail how she's able to astral project and who she has met along her travels, including her spirit guides. This book will show you how anything is possible with an open mind. These events have changed Sally's life's direction, and this book will show you how to change yours. Purchase Call Me Zena on Amazon today.
You have been watching Call Me Zena with your host, Sally Barnard. As an artist, author, and spiritual experiencer, know that you could always seek me out for resources. Visit artbysallybarnard.com today. Now, back to the show. Hi, everybody. Here I am back again, ready to answer your questions.
How do you know if you are on the right track on your spirituality journey?
Well, you really don't know in the beginning. I have to be honest about that because I don't want to say you know right away because you don't. I was stubborn and suddenly I'm painting and I'm thinking, well, how does this happen? Realistically, it doesn't. You don't suddenly pick up or start sketching. I had that and I was lucky enough to have somebody guide me on that journey. I wasn't particularly open-minded. I always believed that there was something more, but I had no idea that this was going to happen to me. So just keep an open mind, be positive, and you will attract that vibrational energy that will somehow put you on your track. It will.
How many paintings do you have?
I have about 150 with many sketches which I started in the very beginning, which actually have a lot of meaning. My art too, but it was from previous lifetimes I'm sketching. So I have about 100 of those.
Have you ever done a gallery opening with all of your art?
I actually haven't, and I know that I'm about ready to do that. I believe everything was timing. I believe that I needed a little more of my story out there. I believe that I'm attracting now the right people to do that, and I'm ready to do that.
The picture over your right shoulder.
Mm-hmm. I'm dyslexic, so that's
that shoulder.
Yes, yes.
Not the family, the other one.
Okay.
What does that mean to you? Wrong one.
Oh, I told you I was dyslexic, but I can see
right shoulder.
No, I'm dyslexic. Okay, I'm dyslexic. Okay, it's actually, it's hard. I had my friend Aldo used to interpret all my art to me, but it's kind of like two faces there. A lot of people have said it's similar to how Picasso drew. I don't know if I necessarily see that, but I see two with a lot of things going on in between. So this is the first time I've actually tried to really talk about this, but I think it's a lot of chaos going on. I feel that we need to quieten our minds. And this is a message that I was getting because I did this maybe about 7 or 8 years ago, where a lot of chaos was going on in my mind, although I was on my journey. I think it represents that in the end, ultimately, everything will be okay.
The fine lines you have in the detail of this, that's all done by your freehand, correct?
Absolutely correct. I have no idea what I'm painting. I have many where it's just these different designs. I don't rub it, cross anything out. I don't do that. It just comes to me. I can actually have my eyes closed. I don't understand exactly what I'm doing because I've lost my guide to interpret it to me. But I look at the canvas and it can take maybe a week and I don't know what I've done, but there it is on the canvas. I have no idea. People say, well, do you start in the corner? Do you start here? I start wherever I'm meant to start. I don't know. I've never had a lesson. And yet they kind of do tell stories. It's like automatic writing. I do both automatic writing and automatic painting. That's what they call it.
You talk about your guide. Do you think everyone can have I call them walking guides, or is it because you were such a prominent person in past history is why you have this one?
Well, I had this particular person because he was with me in this lifetime, in that lifetime, and he came to me within this lifetime. I think it was, now I'm really beginning to realize what an important message I had. I didn't even understand it when he was around because he passed away about 14 months ago now. But I see that. There are many things that are telling me that. Also, the television is telling me that. I feel that I need to definitely explain this. I think it's really important because I can say I've got proof, but I do have, because I'm doing drawings from that lifetime. Why would that come into this lifetime when I've had other lifetimes? And the person that was in that lifetime with me is here, well, was with me and is still with me. I need to get this message out to tell people this does happen. It exists.
Here's another question.
Okay.
How do you quiet the negative thoughts and listen to your intuition?
Okay, is that the one on there? How do you protect your energy? Is that there's one, how do you...
There's so many coming in that we can't even keep up with them.
Okay, well, shall I go with that one? And then
Sure.
how do I protect my energy? Also, I was guided by my guide here to tell me. First of all, if I'm going to do this, usually I will light a candle. It's only symbolic, but I believe it helps. We can put sage, that's symbolic, but it helps. He used to tell me to visualize like a triangle, something around me, that negativity can't penetrate that. I would even go as far as what he used to tell me, that it would bounce back. It's like a shield. And if I protect myself with this shield, and you have to be careful because you don't necessarily want to hurt somebody else, but if it's a very negative, that negativity will bounce back onto that person that's sending you negativity. And I don't mean that to scare people, but we shouldn't really send negativity out like that. So if you're aware of it, that can actually happen. As far as I know, I have never seen that happen to anyone, but he did tell me that.
And then they say, how do you quiet the negative thoughts and listen to your intuition? I guess that goes back to what you were saying before. What's in your head is still your thought.
Yeah, just try to get rid of your mind because, well, not literally, but just put it aside for a little bit.
Is it feasible when I see people are writing in, just stop thinking? Is that even doable?
It's difficult. You know, I remember trying before I understood as much as I do. I would sit in the tub and say, okay, I'm not going to think of anything. It's difficult. It's very difficult to quieten your mind. But I do, and I don't really meditate. I meditate in different ways. If I'm doing my hair, I like to be quiet and I'm meditating. So I can't tell you that I can train you into doing anything because it just comes to me. Even doing this, I feel that I'm being talked to, but I'm not doing anything for that to happen. It just happens. Not everybody works that way. So it's important to just, I'm going to say meditate, but meditate the way that you feel that you can. If you look at a candle, just try and concentrate on the candle. You will hear things. If your mind is quiet, not just your mind shattering, you will hear things. If you believe that you will hear, you got to believe it. Otherwise, nothing's going to work.
Well, I'm a very aggressive person in business, and there are good things, bad things, and everything in between. Trying to figure out the right steps, not always being successful at it, but taking a shot at it, because I'm a firm believer that if you don't take a shot, then how are you going to grow if you don't know that you haven't taken the shot to do it? Good approach, bad approach, or indifferent?
No, it's actually a good approach, because if you don't put into action, even if you just, by thinking about it, can you repeat that again? I'm sorry, sometimes I lose myself.
In other words, is it a good approach to be aggressive with everything coming at you and trying to select the things that work? Because you're going to make mistakes that way, I get it. Good, bad, or indifferent?
No, it's important what you're doing, because if you don't, then you might miss out on something that was a positive. So absolutely continue to do that. Not everything, because there's positive and negative. So and I've had many ideas too. some of them work, some of them don't. But if I don't put them out, so to speak, on the table, how do I know which ones are going to work? So try it. Yes, absolutely try it. It'll come to you, the ones that work.
The next question is, how do you know when you're on the right path?
Well, but because things happen. You know, if you say, well, I want this, it doesn't always happen right away, but something else will happen that will lead you to what you're wanting. It will show itself. It absolutely will. Try to be really positive, even when it's not working. I know people get tired of me saying this, and I sometimes get tired of myself because there's times when I don't want to be positive. However, I do know that it works. It really works. So follow your dream. That's the best advice I can give.
And what do you think the message is that you are here to give?
The message is to, again, I always say this, and there's much more to it, but try to believe. If you believe anything that you want is possible, good, but be positive again, because when we believe certain things and certain things are happening and we see it's not necessarily going that way, we then bring in negativity, but try not to do that. Know that there may be a reason why it's not happening, but if you continue to follow your path and what your dream is, please stay very positive about that, even when negativity comes in, because it will happen.
Are there ever any things that you love so much in this lifetime that you think they make no sense, and then there's a connection back to a prior life?
Many times, yes, many, many times. I'm going, but I'm much more aware of it today. But prior to me being aware of it, I thought, why am I meeting that person? They absolutely, I don't want to say offered anything in my life, but there was no reason. But now when I look back, and I'm thinking of one in particular, when I was at an airport when I met somebody, I didn't understand this. But now I would love to be able to get hold of that person who told me so much in a busy airport, who sat themselves next to me, who got on a flight and was sitting next to me on the flight way before I understood this, who was reading a book on reincarnation. And I'm going, but now, oh my gosh, I'm getting goosebumps. I would love to meet that person. I don't know who it was.
If you could go back to someone in history, who would you like to meet?
The person that I was, actually, just to know the real truth about this person, because I can get little messages, and I got many messages from my guide, but I'd really like to be able to think the way that it was a woman and it was someone in history, what was really going on. I have to do it in a third person because it's very difficult for me to understand that, even though I believe it. What made that person tick? What benefit do I have now in this lifetime? Because I believe that I'm meant to remember that, to pass something on in this lifetime. I don't know yet what.
They write in, how do you know when you have spiritual abilities?
Well, it's like a sense that you have. It took me a while. I mean, how do I suddenly start painting? I use that as a very good example. Something took over me to be able to do that. And then I had premonitions too. I have dreams, and sometimes once in a while, I try not to be on the negative, but I've had a few negatives. They have come about. I don't know when, but there has to be something else that's driving me to do that. It has to be what I call spirituality.
Here's another one. How do you know if you can see auras?
I don't see auras. This is something that I don't see. People do, and I find I don't know that they see something. I don't see that. But I have other things that I see.
Do you see visions, or do you hear it?
Yes, I do. I get that in my dreams. That's one of the things that I do get. I get dreams that, sometimes I'm going to say a little scary. I had one about a year ago. No, it was longer than that. It's something that took place from London, my hometown, and I recognized there were ambulances and all sorts of things there. I tried to put it out of my mind. I did pass it on to a few people. There was nothing I can do about it. However, without going into more of this, it all came about. Even it wasn't pleasant, but it happened 2 years later. I couldn't do anything about it.
I got an interesting question that I read. It says, why is it that people turn more spiritual when disasters occur?
to find out a reason why maybe all these things happen. It makes you go more within yourself, like what we've just happened now. Why should so many people suddenly lose their homes? It's the whys. If we don't ask, we're not going to get far with this. But if we ask why, we may not always have the answer. But it's horrific what just happened. It's horrible. It's hard to even imagine. And do I want to say to people there's a reason? It's hard for them to understand that, and I get it. I completely get that. But it makes you turn, you kind of want to open up more. What is this all about? Why? How can we stop it again? How to be more positive? We're getting into, we need balance. And I always say that, and I will continue saying that. The world as we know it has tipped a balance. It's very destructive right now. It's gone into a negative. We need to bring that back. We don't want to go too much on the other way either because, oh, everything is great. No, it's not. But we need to find that balance.
But aren't people the scale of justice? Was this the yin?
It's what?
This the yin to the yang, the scale of justice, people.
Yes.
And if we're bleeding so much negativity, don't we have ourselves to blame?
100%, Freddie, yes. That's why it's so difficult to change, because so many people, whoever you talk to, they don't want to believe that there's more, that we can be happy here. Of course, we're meant to be happy. Not everything, because we're meant to learn. But ultimately, we're not meant to lose our homes. Yes, we're going to lose our loved ones, because that's part of what we have. But make the time we have here worthwhile so that we can pass that on even to our children and their children. Because if we don't, it's not a happy ending. And I'm not saying it's going to happen now. Let's go 1,000 years from now, because it's not going to get better unless we do something about it. It's important.
And we have choice.
We have absolutely a choice. Of course we have a choice. And the choice is just try to see the best in humanity. We're being, from what I understand, we're being observed by different planets. That's another show and we can talk about it. But we're kind of, they're testing us. They don't want us to do a lot of things because even nuclear, that goes up into the environment. I truly believe, and I mean, people are going to say this is not true, and that's all right too. There are other planets. There are many other planets. So what goes out into the energy of the universe is going to affect other people, just like our thoughts, even here, will affect other people, positivity and negativity. So why not choose positivity as best we can?
Isn't it more important to try to figure out the people that are responsible to bringing that kind of chaos to the world?
People are not going to, up to a point you've got to be ready. And is it going to take, and I hate to say this, a nuclear explosion to say we shouldn't have done that? Let's get to this before that happens. And again, I'm not here to scare anyone. It could be, I'm not going to say 1,000 years from now. But why would we even have that on our mind?
Why do we even have it?
Why do we even have it? Yes, we do, because war has been going on since time began. But it's getting worse because, yes, we don't do some of the things they did hundreds and thousands, years ago, like tortures and stuff, but we're torturing ourselves anyway, just with the possibility that this could happen. We need to take this completely off the table. I don't have the answers. I just know that people should be more positive.
And how do people reach you if they have questions going forward?
Okay, they can call into my show, 888-994-4995, every Monday at 3 o'clock. They can come into the studio here, Brooklyn Cafe. Please, if there's anybody local, I would love to talk to you in person. We'll arrange that. Maybe it'll be in the evening. But we need to have more people here. I want to spread this message on. And if you live in Boca or nearby in West Palm, please come down here. They are wonderful here. And then my art. artbysally.com, just sallybarnard.com. I don't use that very often. Okay, just text me, send me a message. Most of all, call into my show.
And everything you have is faces.
Well, a lot of things are faces. Yeah, I have many more than what I bring down here, but there are a lot of faces. I think they're trying to tell me something. Show my art. I'm here.
And the piece on your other shoulder, all of those faces you believe are from the Renaissance?
Yes, that's what I was told by my guide. There were certain entities in there that have let themselves be known on my canvas, and they're talking to me right now. Okay.
What do they do you hear messages from them?
I do. Yes, I do now because I'm very aware of it, and they're actually telling me to pass this on. I know that they want to do that, but Aldo is the one that knew my family from that time, and he's with them. I've asked him, and he shows me on the TV. He tells me not so much with the program that's on now, but certain things. I'll ask a question, and there's my answer. It comes through on the internet or TV.
So what do you think they have, their messages they're trying to tell you?
They're trying to tell me exactly what my message is. Anything is possible. Be positive. We come back. We do not pass. We do not die. And when I first heard that, I listened to Brian Weiss, if you're familiar with him, Many Masters, Many Lives, and many books. I went to a lecture of his many, many years ago before I believed any of this. He opened up with hundreds of people there, and this is before we understand more. We never die. And that had such an impact on me. And if I can have an impact on other people with just that simple message, we don't die, we're energy, please, please believe it if you can.
And how do you get your validation when you hear something or see it that it's truly the message that's supposed to be coming to you?
Because right now I have a protector that's going to protect me, which is my guide in spirit. But you will feel it if it's not right. Because of my positivity, I don't believe I get a lot of negative answers. However, it can happen. Thank you. And then yes, tell me I have a few more minutes. Then I follow through. I don't follow through with everything, but if I have a dream that sticks with me when I wake up, I believe that that's a positive. I don't believe my negative dreams are going to stay with me. They can, but I'm not going to think about it.
But you get a chill? Do you
Oh,
tear?
okay,
Do you
yes.
get
I get
goosebumps?
goosebumps. I get very cold. I feel it going through me. My hair, I feel, stands up on end. And I know that that's a message for me, that it's validation for me. It doesn't happen all the time, but usually if it's a very strong message or I feel that I know somebody from previous lives, I will get that chill.
It's towards the end of the show, and I was going to ask you what your calling was, but I think you answered that.
Yes, I think I did. Yes, it's to pass this message on and to give them all the validation, basically, that I have. Don't have to believe it. I'm going to say that again. But just know that it has happened to me, and it goes on happening to me. And slowly, little by little, as Aldo used to say to me, little by little, you will see miracles happen.
Very nice.
Thank you, everybody, and please tune in next week. Bye-bye. Coincidence or not, it's time to trust your intuition and knowings. Thank you for joining me through this journey of self-discovery and awakening with the help of my spirit guides. I'm Sally Barnard, and you can find my book, artwork, and contact through artbysallybarnard.com. Join us next week. This has been Call Me